I just want to thank you, Foster, for being our guest today and stepping in. I am excited to hear from you and share with the group just kind of what you've got going on in your life and your perspectives. We've got some members here that are joining us, and I'd love to have them introduce themselves first before we get into your story, because part of the group's ambition is to create a community that can collaborate and elevate, together. So what we want to do is hear your stories, support, give you feedback, and kind of share your perspectives as a team and a community. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. I'm Adam Griggs, the co-founder of Clarify, and I will be your moderator today. And then Rachel, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Alicia.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon. Rachel McCool from GoDaddy, manage our community forums and some other community programs, set up the LinkedIn group for Open We Stand, and just really appreciate Adam and all he does and all of our great guests.
Beautiful, I appreciate it. Alicia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Alicia Cruz. Sorry, I couldn't get my thing unmute. Basically, I was just joining the Zoom today because I needed to find a community event, and I found this one that looked interesting, so I wanted to just join and see what it was about.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. Foster, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do, where you're at, and we'll go from there. I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Adam. Foster Coburn. I currently sit in Loreto, Mexico, which is on the Baja Peninsula. For those who aren't real familiar with the geography, we're on the Sea of Cortez side, right on the water. Beautiful location. Originally from Kansas and then to Arizona for the middle part of my life. And we'll get into that whole story as we go along. And my primary job at this time is doing web design using WordPress.
Awesome, awesome. Not in Kansas anymore. I don't know if you hear that too often, huh?
Yeah. I haven't been in Kansas for many, many years now, even though it's still home.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Home is supposed to be where the heart is, but sometimes we long for the places we grew up, right?
Exactly.
So, Foster, you've got quite the interesting dynamic. I mean, you've got a business and a family that's kind of multinational and borderless, which I just love the perspective and the possibility that you as an example of a business owner bring. So tell us a little bit about what it's like, living in Mexico, but working without the restrictions of borders, and how you built your business there.
Well, I had the business since 1993, so it was already in place, and we are still officially located in Arizona as far as our address. So all our things go through there. But I decided, it was probably 2015, 2016, that I didn't like the expense of a house in Arizona and everything that came with it. And I decided, okay, I've got a vacation rental that I purchased some time ago here in Loreto. Let's see what can happen about moving down there. And it took a lot of changes to make that happen. But in 2018, I made the jump and moved down here. A lot of people, they hear Mexico, and due to things they hear in the news, they think horrible things. And I feel like I'm in a very safe community. And a lot of people don't understand when I say that I feel safer here than I did in Arizona. Not that Arizona was bad, but any big city you go to, you're going to have problems. And we just don't have those here. So it's a great little community. The people are great. I am in an area filled with expats, so mostly Americans and Canadians. That allows me to get by without Spanish, or at least not much Spanish. I know how to order a margarita. I know how to ask for the check and where the bathroom is located, but other than that, I still have a lot of learning to do on the Spanish side. Sometimes I get my best learning. I'll watch a sporting event on the Mexican TV channels. And so I know what's going on, but I hear all the words in Spanish, and it's a good learning tool for me. But as far as operating the business, nothing really has changed going from Arizona to Mexico. Um, Other than I am purely online, it's kind of hard to have a face-to-face meeting with clients who are in Arizona, and my clients are scattered throughout the United States and even some now in Mexico. So face-to-face meeting isn't bad. Zoom is certainly a tool I can use. There are other video chat tools that I can use to meet with clients, as well as email, telephone, and that's something that I think back to when I was in high school. We had an exchange student from Europe, and we raised money at school so they could have a call home. It was just, maybe $100 for them to have a 30-minute call across the ocean. And now we regularly talk to people all over the world, and it doesn't cost us a dime as long as we have an internet connection.
Yeah, I mean, technology is so much more advanced than it used to be. I remember having to get those phone cards. You go to the store and buy the little prepaid phone cards that were for international. And now it's just, everything's so well connected. So I love that. I love you're able to run your business how you want and where you want. I think that's a powerful thing. And I think that's a perspective that all of us want to see in 2020, because obviously with the pandemic and the shutdown and some of the travel restrictions that exist, we can't get out there and connect with our clients and our customers like we used to do. So you're fortunate in the fact that you actually have been doing this for years, almost like you were just prepared for this, which I love. So, I mean, how did you end up in the position where you felt confident enough to really embrace technology and confident in your service to be able to reach through the screen and connect with your clients? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, if I go back, I've been working out of a home office since 1993 when I first started my business. So the working at home aspect, a lot of people this year were adjusting to that. And for me, it was something I've been doing. You learn how to prioritize work and not get distracted by things around the house as best possible. You set your schedule and you work that way. And many of my clients in my early days, I was doing seminars related to CorelDRAW, were scattered throughout the United States, throughout the world. So I was already used to flying to those cities and doing seminars, but then also talking with them in online forums. In the old days, it was CompuServe, and then we had various web-based discussion forums. And now it's migrated to Facebook and LinkedIn and other groups. So I've always been talking to people remotely. The way I do that has changed, but it's not something that was a big overall change. And I look at it, if a client for whatever reason doesn't want to work with me because I chose to move down here, then okay, it's time to end that relationship and let's go find some new clients, because I know one in particular, they're frustrated we couldn't meet face to face, and yet we hadn't met face to face in 2 years, so why did that really matter? It's not that big a deal. We can do something like a Zoom call and get across everything we need without the actual face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's important that people understand the dynamics of the world. People are people, no matter where you come from. So everybody's got their own agenda and their own needs. But at the same token, people are still just people. You go in any community, you can find friendly people. You can find people that are less friendly. You know what I mean? So the fact that you've built your business with this capability of choosing and expanding your business to clients with a reach that's basically unrestricted is fantastic. I love that you came from an education background. You learned the tools you have, and you built off of CorelDRAW, and you wrote some books, and you've empowered others to be able to leverage the technology that you've come to understand. And I think that that's powerful right now, especially for small business owners. We talk about the We Are Open movement for Open We Stand. And the idea is that we're trying to keep businesses moving forward and staying open. And the only way that they can do that in most cases is to be be innovative or to pivot or to leverage something, some technology or capability. And a lot of people don't find confidence. I feel like they're very afraid of that because if they make the change now, it might be a forever change, right? And
Exactly.
change can be scary. So, I mean, what are some pieces of advice or things that you've seen that might help shed light that change isn't always bad and sometimes it can perpetuate a better business style?
Well, I guess I've been somebody that has been not afraid to take risks throughout my life, such as the big move that I made. And I got some advice. I was in college and went to a dinner one night, and one of the professors said, if you have some big dream, don't say I'm going to do it in 2 years or 3 years, because in the interim, something may change in your life and then you can't pursue that dream. Just go for it. And what happened with the pandemic is everybody was forced to do something, uh, February, March, April timeframe. And because I was used to taking risks, okay, I really didn't have to change very much. But other businesses, they were forced to take a risk. It's either make changes now or there is no business. And if there is no business, maybe you're struggling to make rent, to put food on your table, that kind of thing. And the perfect example is restaurants. People could not go into a restaurant to eat, so they had to pivot. They had to offer delivery service. They had to offer carry out. And where that came into the web, they needed to provide a way on their website to see a menu, to place an order, to do those kinds of things. And they just had to do it. In the long run, it will help them. I think of one little restaurant here in my community. Um, it's kind of our local Cheers, if you will. They weren't able to have people at all. And so for the first time ever, they had delivery service within the community, which they can easily do with the golf cart. And they also had carry out, which I think in the past people could carry out, but I don't think it happened very often. And they really didn't have to change their website much at the time. I had recently redesigned it for them, so the menus were all online. We just put a little notification on the homepage that says, hey, you can't eat here, but we'll offer carry out and delivery, and it worked out very well for them. I don't think they were doing the booming business they were normally, but they were at least able to keep their employees employed and keep their head above water until things get better.
Yeah, that's I love that you brought up the saying, if you have a big dream and you want to do it, chase it. I think that's important. I just want to touch on that a little bit because there's no such thing as a time machine. And that's so much more apparent this year than it has been. The things that we wish we could have done are in the past. So there's no such thing as a time machine. Get out there and chase your passions. But at the same token, sometimes the world forces change to take place. And I love that, with your perspective and your abilities, you've given your clients confidence. The world might have fast forwarded 15 years. Basically the mother of innovation is necessity, right? The world fast forward us to be more connected and more available to transitions and change. And you've given clients like the restaurant the availability to pivot, stay in business, and keep chasing their passion. And one of the things that I honestly believe is if we leverage each other and communicate proactively, it doesn't matter what the outcome's going to be, whether or not the pandemic hits or there's another wave or the elections change or, something else changes. If you move to a different part of the world, like what you did, if you're proactive in communicating that with the people that matter to you most, like you, Foster, you've given these guys confidence, these business owners confidence. I feel like that is key. And that proactive partnership is going to allow people to evolve. And I see it all over the country with small business. And I love that you're sharing that part of your story. When you're working with a client and they're asking for these changes or they're asking for ways that they can evolve and change themselves, how does that conversation normally come about? I mean, is it more of a conversation where you're back and forth, or are you providing education? Tell us a little bit about that process.
I think there's a mix of all of those things, but since I was doing seminars for so many years and my family was in education before me, I think that's in my blood. So I try to educate them on the technology and why we're making changes. So for example, you don't want to upload a massive video to the homepage of your website because then it's so crazy slow, nobody's going to stay on the website. So very simple explanations like that. But there's many other things why we want to do certain things. So building an email list is a perfect example. It may not be the obvious answer on day one, and you're going to have 5 people on the email list. How is that helpful to you? Well, it's 5 today, but maybe a year from now it's 500, and a couple of years down the road it's 5,000. Now you have that critical mass where it can be helpful to you. So you got to start somewhere and start building it today. And there's ways you can do that without a massive expense, just putting it out there. Are there services they can offer that maybe they're not thinking about, or new ways we can present the services and products they offer to make them more appealing to their visitors? So there's many different things, and certainly they ask me questions along the way. If we're setting up a way to shop on their website, how do they collect money? Do we do PayPal? Do we do credit cards? If we do credit cards, how do we handle that? If they have a physical product, how do we get that product to the customer? How do we price the shipping on that? How do we compete with Amazon offering free shipping on everything? If it's a digital product, how does it get downloaded? What if it's a big file versus a little file? There's lots of different things that we can talk about. And I guess I've had the experience with a lot of these things. I've made mistakes with a lot of these things. So I kind of know, okay, there's a better way. I learned the hard way. Now you can do it the easy way from the start, and we go from there.
Yeah, I love it. The best way through a minefield is following somebody who's already been through it, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to make mistakes that others have already made. So I like that you start with why. And I like that it's not just why should we do this, but here's why it's going to affect your business in the future. Here's why it's going to help build your brand and your community and consistency. I mean, right now people are fiending for consistency. It's one of these things that we took for granted for so long because everything was going so well. And that's one of the reasons why I love this community. And Rachel, you guys have done a fantastic job of building this and allowing people like Foster to be here, because consistency is a big deal. And I feel like the community is giving that consistency and highlighting business owners like Foster with the skills that he has and the reasons that he's doing what he's doing, and giving these whys is important. And I just love it. So I have to thank you, Foster, for sharing that, and Rachel and the group for founding the Open We Stand movement and community. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think it's, really important for you guys to connect. I mean, we're a catalyst for connection. Our company provides services for people to have an online presence and hopefully help to grow their businesses. But the real power is having, small business owners talk to each other. And to Foster's point, when you pioneer something, at least in your mind, right, as your business, you're pioneering your business, you're learning what works, what doesn't work. And then other people come along and really need help. There's so many people who have a great idea of something they're really passionate about, but they have no idea how to go about getting there. And I think that's, again, one of the reasons why so many businesses, even right now, are suffering, is because they didn't have that backbone of how to run a business and be successful going into COVID. And so, they're cash strapped and, in a really tough spot. So having people with experience to be able to talk to and hear some ideas of things that they can try that don't sound intimidating is really important for people. And again, I think so many people think like, oh my God, I have to have an MBA to run a business. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to. I mean, if you want to get one, fantastic. Then that, gives you extra to work with. But, there's just a lot of basic things that you can do to get your business up and running. And, I'm just amazed still at how many people don't have websites. And I've mentioned recently just so many services that don't have websites. And recently our experience in trying to find a plumber. It's like, oh my God, they don't have websites, that's just one example. But, any learning from people like Foster and all the experience that you have is really valuable and important.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I think one thing that a good friend of mine runs a print shop, and a few years ago, he said to me, kind of half jokingly, how do people find me nowadays? In the old days, you pick up the yellow pages, you go to printers, and he bought a quarter-page ad in the Phoenix Yellow Pages, which cost him around $900 a month. And he got a lot of business from that. Well, now nobody uses the yellow pages. So his theory is I have $900 a month to spend online, whether it's the website, whether it's buying ads on Google, Facebook, Yelp, etc. And I don't think a lot of businesses have that attitude. They think, well, it's the internet, it's got to be free. And I think sometimes, especially with the smaller businesses, they might take web designers for granted. If you need a plumber, you need a plumber. If you need an electrician, you need an electrician, a mechanic, a lawyer, an accountant, etc. Well, the same thing, web designers are experts in the web. We don't know everything, but we can certainly help you through the minefield, as you say, with what we know. And if we can't answer it, we might know somebody who could, and we can bring in that outside help. And certainly there's a cost to having a good web designer, but that cost is an investment to make your business more productive, hopefully sell a lot more, and you'll recoup your investment in the shorter term rather than the longer term.
Yeah, I think it's important and valuable to see your perspective and what you've seen out there with businesses, especially small business, because every decision matters. I think that there's a lot of fear out there, and the fear isn't necessarily around going out in public and contracting a virus. I think the fear is the effect and the fallout from it. How is this going to affect my children? How is it going to affect my family and my job? How is it going to affect my favorite brands and the places that I go and love and respect? How is my community going to be affected? There's a lot of fear around that. And one of the things that I think is valuable that you do, Foster, and what your perspective and your capabilities brings is that you can help eliminate some of that fear by giving people the availability to be found online, stay connected, and still share that they're still passionate and still there. Because at the end of the day, if we see that other people are still doing well or pushing forward, that excitement is going to be infectious and it's going to transfer to us. When we see that our brands and our favorite mom and pop stores or our friends are still innovating and changing and making themselves available, the fear that they're gone is wiped away. And that's one less thing that we have to worry about at the end of the day. And I just think that there's a lot of power in avoiding the fear and losing our community. And I appreciate you for that. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, well, you mentioned mom and pop, and certainly the idea is it's a family-owned business. We get to know that family by going into that business. One thing that sometimes gets lost on the web is personalizing the business. And so many times I go to a business and they don't even name who the owner, the employees are, let alone a picture and a short bio, and tell what you love. I'm not afraid to say, these are my hobbies, these are the things I like to do. You don't have to agree with them, but at least you get to know me in my business. And I wish more people would do that so that even a mid-sized business could feel like a mom and pop business. A couple days ago, GoDaddy held a webinar, and they mentioned in one of the videos, I think it was called Antonelli's Cheese Shop in Austin, Texas. Well, I have a niece in Austin, Texas. So just out of curiosity, I said, have you ever heard of Antonelli's Cheese Shop? And she knew about it, had been there, but she's one who just refuses to leave the house right now. So she hadn't been there in a while. And, you know, it was kind of a feel-good moment to know that that little store obviously has pivoted online and done well, but it is known within the community. And I don't think my niece is in the part of Austin where the store is located. So it's just something she knew. And that's great that small businesses can be known. And I even asked her something about it, and she said, oh yeah, I talked to the guy who owned it, and it matched the guy I saw in the video the other day. So, you know, it all lines up, and that's how you get to know an online business, even one that can be thousands of miles away.
That is so awesome. Talk about like small world. I just love that kind of stuff. And I agree with you, Adam, about like having the mainstays in your life, like helping them to continue to thrive, especially right now. And great example is my husband and I live in San Francisco, and there's a burger place that has like buffalo burgers. We really, really love it. And we've been overly supporting them throughout COVID. And we went in there last night, very small restaurant. And San Francisco just opened up the possibility of, 25% in restaurants. And I talked to the owner, and she said, we're not able to do that because our place is so small. But she's still, she's still like doing what she needs to do, and her business is actually doing pretty well through like, takeout and stuff like that. And so, but that's important for us to like, we love that place and we want that place to survive and thrive. And so anything we all can do to support each other to make sure that we're around and have the possibility of continuing the business. And I love, like, Aunt Nellie's a great example of, I've also ordered cheese online, being from Wisconsin originally. But I mean, who would have thought like transporting cheese in the past, through just ordering individual, cheese. So I love it. I'm a huge cheese fan.
Well, I love cheese as well. And it's one thing, it's hard to find the selection in the grocery stores here. There's fresh cheese, but the fresh cheese just doesn't have the strong flavor and the different varieties I like. So when I do get to a bigger store, or when I come back to the States, I run to the cheese aisle and get some. So if it was easy to ship their cheese to Mexico, I'd probably be a great customer for them.
There you go. Something for you to explore.
Exactly.
Hey, you guys, I got to jump off. Really good seeing you, Foster, hearing your wisdom. Adam, always good talking to you. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Rachel.
All right, see you later.
We appreciate you. Thank you. Well, I definitely want to respect everybody's time. So, Foster, I just want to thank you for the availability to see into your life and your business and what you've got going on. I want to thank you for the tenacity and the collaboration that you're giving small business to continue. And I think that it's creating a bigger ripple effect than you're aware of. So thank you for that. Is there any last minute things you want to share or say? And then we'll just leave it open for questions if Alicia wants to jump in and ask any questions as well.
I just want to thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun to get the questions and share what I know and what I've experienced, and hopefully give more people, as you say, the confidence to take a little risk, because it's going to come back and help you in the long run.
I love it. Alicia, did you want to share anything in the last second, or ask Foster any questions before we let him go?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you guys for your time. It was very helpful. I'm currently doing a business plan at school right now, so some of your advice was very helpful for that plan, especially with these stuff covered. So just thank you guys for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you for participating. We really appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this out, but I will share all of your information in this video in the LinkedIn community, and then you'll be able to find it likewise on Clarify's pages as well. So if you guys have any questions or anything that's pending, definitely let me know, and you guys stay safe out there.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right.